The first voice I ever did? That was the first. I don't remember doing it, but that was the first voice.
Since you've become noted for your particular characters and particularly your voice, is there any one character that you really feel that's a part of your personality?
Well, I think Bugs is perhaps my favorite because he's a little stinker, you know. And the reason he's so popular, I believe, is that everybody would like to do what he does, but they don't have crust enough to do it. He does some crazy things.
Since you first started doing this, did you ever realize that it could develop into a complete career just doing voices and never being known just for your face?
No, I thought that perhaps it might develop into voices, but I wasn't sure about it. I didn't know how popular the characters would become. And I was very happy that they did turn out because they're getting more popular every year. I'm glad they turned out that way, and the reason for it is full animation. The pictures you see today, the cartoon studios use limited animation, which cost about 1/10 the price of a fully animated cartoon. In other words, they paint maybe 1 in 10 frames, where full animation, like Warner Brothers does, is done, each individual frame is painted. And so it runs into many dollars more than the limited animation.
Given the type of cartoon shows that are presently on television, do you find that some people are charged that they've become overly violent? They've sort of steered away from the basic peaceful themes. Do you find that to be the case?
Well, I tell you, it never happens in a Warner Brother cartoon. When you see something in violence that so many people call violence, like Wile E. Coyote falling off an 8,000-foot cliff, in the next scene he's back chasing the Roadrunner, or a bridge falling on Yosemite Sam. In the next scene, he's back chasing after Bugs. This isn't violence, this is slapstick comedy. And so many people confuse that with violence, because nobody ever gets killed in a Warner Brother cartoon. And so I don't think should be even considered violence. They have to have these slapstick comedy spots just for the humor in the complete story.
Also, getting back to the themes of some of the movies or the cartoons that are coming out now, is there any one in particular that you find to be extremely questionable? Not in particular just naming it, but just saying the overall caliber and quality of the cartoons that are coming out now.
No, because they sort of screen everything that they do. Chuck Jones screens everything. He's a great director. And the man that's in charge of everything is Friz Freleng. And Friz has the faculty of knowing what would go with all audiences, with kids or adults. And he is in charge now of practically all the cartoons that you see. In fact, he just completed one called 1001 Rabbit Tales, which is a full-length picture, will be shown in theaters. And he is a fabulous man of direction, and he knows just what to tell me, how to do it. Because I have to use different inflections, different lines.
Do you see the cartoons themselves, per se, making a comeback now? Because before they were originally used as prior to the full-length, the picture itself.
Fill-ins, yeah.
Right.
No, they eventually will come back, I think. And Warners are talking about making short films. They're 6.5 minutes each. They're talking of making them for theaters. Because normally when they made them for theaters, the theater would have to buy a full-length picture that Warner Brothers put out in order to get one of these cartoons free of charge to show in their theater. And even at the time, it cost them around $50,000 just to make a cartoon. It took 125 people 9 months to make one 6.5-minute cartoon in full animation. And even then cost around $50,000. Nowadays, to make that same cartoon would cost around $1 million. But Warners will not do anything but full animation because they sell it to television, and they get paid pretty high for that, right. I imagine.
So they do make, they don't basically take a loss on it. Yeah. Recently there was a strike by the cartoon writers, and it created some problems, I guess, for the fall season for television in particular. One of the things that they were striking for was the fact that they were trying to eliminate the full animation. So you basically feel that to be a good cartoon, it has to have full animation, or it's not
Yes,
really a cartoon?
to be a cartoon that is talked about afterwards, it has to be in full animation, unless there's some special limited animation. I do one limited animation thing for Hanna-Barbera. Bonnie Rubble and the Flintstones.
Right.
You know. And that is perhaps the only unlimited cartoon that I think was really successful. But I don't know about the others. They're using too much outer space stuff, and I think this stuff is going to wear out very quickly. And I don't know. I think when they can't afford to make full animation, they'll go back to it.
Or when it becomes, again, profitable?
Here comes Pepe Le Pew. Hello, Pepe. How are you? Oh, you're very sweet. Thank you, Pepe Le Pew.
Pepe. Okay.
Why don't we all get
Okay, I
up a
think
little
we
closer?
Thank you very much, Mr. Black.
Okay, pleasure. Thank you. Nice
It's sort of
meeting you.
hard to, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you're meeting someone that you've only, you know, like I said, you've seen on television, or, you know, heard about. And all of a sudden, there you are, you get a chance to sit down and talk and rap to the guy, and this really makes it nice. Let's see, who's next?
Well, I don't know who's next
Recording. Want to
specifically.
get up closer? Come in, Mel. I think we'll.
You want me to get...
Let's see. I think. Why don't we get you right in the center?
Can you do that, Martians?
Oh, you mean the fellow that says you make me very angry? Yes.
Where did Noel go? Is he around?
Noel?
I suppose to some degree you're a lot like an impersonator. If somebody mentions one of your voices, is it an automatic thing with you that you can just go right to
Yes,
it?
because once you create it, you never forget it. And that is if they use it more than once. Like, first voice I ever did for was then called Schlesinger Cartoons, was a drunken bull.
Drunken bull?
Yeah, a bull.
A bull?
Yeah, a bull. And that was my first assignment. They said, can you do a drunken bull? And I thought for a minute, I said, I think so. I said, how would he sound? So it was sound like it was a little loaded. It was looking for the sour mash. Guy says, great, what are you doing next week? So that was my first voice in the cartoons.
Okay, I think we'd like to start now, and I just, on behalf of Leisure Development Corporation and Gadgets Restaurant, I'd like to welcome all of you, and I'd just like to introduce a few people first. President Bob Petralia and Vice President Bob Pearl. Bob will be able to answer any of your questions on the robotics or animations, and anything on the corporation. Bob Petralia would be very happy to answer questions. This is Noel Blanc, son of Mel Blanc. And then,
my
of
little boy.
course, here is Mel Blanc. Okay, Mel, do you want to just say a few words, and then you people can just ask questions?
Yeah, I'll say a few words. Me. What's up, Doc? For my second number. And then I wrote, oh, I thought I saw a putty tat. I did see a putty tat. You buddy saw a putty tat. Fluffer and succotash. I get you wet? Sorry. Not too many people know that I work for Hanna-Barbera and do Barney Rubble and the Flintstones. Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from Warner Brothers, though. But and a few hundred other of the hell with it. I just did that to let you know who I am. Now I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have, I hope.
Have you kept track? How many voices do you do?
I had a very bad accident 21 years ago, and I was in full body cast for a year. During that time, I thought I'd figure out how many different voices I could do. I spoke in different dialects, almost every dialect. And I started early in the morning, and I fell asleep around midnight, and I passed the 400 mark. 400 different voices. See, in every voice you can do several different characters. Like one picture that I show when we play at the colleges. It's a picture of Columbus and Bugs Bunny discovering America. And Columbus is a talker like this here, you see, in Italian. He says, what's the matter for you? And Bugs says, nothing's the matter for me. What's the matter for you? And you can do these various different voices in each dialect. So that was 21 years ago that I counted 400 of them. Done many since then.
Tell him more about the accident. He was hit head-on 21 years ago, and on a place called Dead Man's Curve, which Jan and Dean made famous later, and then I guess Jan got hit by the car. And it was right at Dead Man's Curve. They fixed it 2 weeks later. There were 21 deaths on Dead Man's Curve before his accident, and after his accident they fixed it. There's never been another death. But he was laid up in a body cast with over 30 breaks in one leg and 7 or 8 in the other, and every one of his other bones, all ribs, all vertebrae, pelvis, collarbone, everything broken except his left hand and arm and to here. And he was in a body cast from here to the end of his tiptoes for 9 months. They had to use a winch to get him up and a winch to put him down. And he did virtually all the Flintstones shows that you see now, and most all the Bugs Bunny shows from a horizontal position in the bed with a microphone suspended over we built a studio in his house with a microphone suspended, and he was doing all the shows virtually flat on his back for almost a year in 1961. In fact, there was an obituary. There were 3 obituary notices. One in the Honolulu paper, one in the LA paper. We've got obituary notices like the Harry Truman holding up the Dewey Wins picture because no one expected him to live. He lost 9 pints of blood and had a triple skull fracture and was out for, 21
days.
21 days out cold. And then...
There's a very interesting thing that happened during that 21 days that I was out. That this brain specialist, I had a triple skull fracture. And this brain specialist come in every day to see if I was ever coming out of it. He'd say, "How are you today, Mel?" And I wouldn't answer him. I didn't hear him. But he got an idea one day, and Noel, my son, and my wife were in the room at the time. He came in one day and he said, "Hey, Bugs Bunny, how are you?" And I answered him. I said, "Just fine, Doc. How are you?" So I was dead, but my characters were still alive. It's kind of hard to believe, but it's true.
True.
Something related to that, Mel, and God forbid that it would happen, but you've created all of these voices. When you retire, which I doubt you'll ever do, but when you pass on, are your voices copyrighted in any way, or can your son do some of those voices?
My son can do every voice I do. We must have the same genes or something. I don't know what it is.
Hey, what's up, Doc?
That's right, Doc. Yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah, can you talk like a pig?
Well, this is a funny thing. I don't like to do it at this particular time. If he retires, maybe. But since he created all the voices, I rarely do them. We did things together in the show. But I try to do it anonymously, or I've always felt funny about it. Although when he had the accident in 1961, I did 2 cartoons, doing several of the characters in the cartoons that they couldn't do because he was unconscious at that time. It's always been kind of a strange thing, although I've been practicing for 20 years. Do almost every voice, but they're good copies and they sound a lot alike, but they don't have the flexibility like Yosemite Sam. I don't know anybody that can do Yosemite Sam for an hour and still talk. I do it for 3 minutes and then go, "I like that." And so his vocal cords are so strengthened for so many years that it's tough to do the voices any length of time that he can do it. And Bugs really is tough to do over a period of 2 or 3 minutes, and he can do it for an hour.
He's very much like me. He doesn't like to copy anybody. He likes to create. Incidentally, he's a great producer and director now for Blanc Communications Corporation, which is an outfit that does commercials for clients all over the world. One of our biggest is the United States Government Armed Forces Radio and Television Service. And he uses little names like Kirk Douglas and Vincent Price, and I have to brag a little about him too. He does other things but voices.
Mel,
Yeah.
is there any voice that you find particularly easy to do, or that was particularly hard of a characterization for you to create?
The easiest voice I do was Sylvester, because it's my straight voice with just a spray in it. That's all there is to it. See? And the toughest voice, as Noel says, is Yosemite Sam. It's real raucous on the throat. And you can't do him for too long, but you start to get hoarse. But fortunately, they just have maybe one sentence for him to say at a time.
How long does it actually take to create a full-length cartoon?
To create a 6.5-minute cartoon, I show 3 of them that are Academy Award winners at my college speeches. It took 125 people 9 months to make one 6.5-minute cartoon. See, they'd have a whole line of 125 people, and each one would put a different color in as it went along and draw a different thing. It was like an assembly line. And it took that long to make it. And even at the time, which is around 50 years ago, it cost around $50,000. Now, to make just a 6.5-minute cartoon would cost over $1 million.
Now, out of that 9 months, how much of your time is occupied in those 9 months there? Say to do
Well, you know, the voice is always done first. Most people think it's the other way around, that the cartoon is made after the voice is done after the cartoon is made. That's wrong.
Well, the animation's created around.
The voice is done first. I'll give you an example of it. Like I'd say, what's up, Doc? The animator has a board, a desk in front of him with just a blank Bugs Bunny on it. Then he has a mirror in front of him that he looks into. Then he has the phonograph record or the tape that plays the voice. What's up, Doc? And he looks in the mirror and says, draws his mouth on the character. Ooh, what's up, Doc? You know how many feet that would take on a film? And that's what he does on every voice that you hear. The voice is done first, and they animate it by using their lip motions, looking in the mirror to see how to synchronize the lip motions on the cartoon. And it's used to take me a day and a half, getting back to the point you asked, to do all these things, because I did them in a radio script form, you know, one right after the other, and then we'd make a mistake, we'd have to go back and do the whole darn thing again. It took me a day and a half. Well, I told him, I said, look, why don't you have each voice done individually, then have the technician put them together? They thought it might be a good idea, so we tried it that way. Now I can do a 6.5-minute cartoon in less than 1 hour. So that's how much time and film they saved.
Since the voices are done first, did you have a hand in doing a lot of the writing? Was it you that created the What's Up, Doc and the Suffering Succotash and all, or was that the writing?
I created those, but Warner's were smart enough to copyright them and trademark them. And I had to ask permission to use them in many cases. But just the seeing of the actual characters sort of gives me an incentive of what voice to use. Like Bugs, they said, was a little stinker. And I figured out now, when they showed me the storyboard of what he does in the cartoons. And I figured out, which is the toughest voice in this country, either Brooklyn or the Bronx.
So I put the two of them together, Doc. That's how I got the voice for Bugs.
Porky, they said, was a little timid character, so I had to give him a timid voice. And I tell the kids at the colleges I wanted to be authentic about it, so I went out to a pig farm and I wallowed around with the pigs for a couple of weeks. I went back to the studio, they kicked me out, said go home and take a bath. When I come back, I said, if a pig could talk with a grunt, you know.
Oink, 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 that's way Porky got his voice with a grunt.
Tweety, they said, was a little baby bird. I had to give him a baby voice.
Ooh, I started to put it down.
Sylvester was a big sloppy cat. I gave him a floppy voice. And all of the characters are more or less the same. Yosemite Sam, they said, was only 2 feet tall, but he had to be recognizable on the screen. I had to give him a voice that would make him recognized, so I gave him one.
My name's Yosemite Sam, roughest, toughest cowboy that ever shot a gumdrop.
So that every voice I've done for them has satisfied them. The only one voice that I did to start with, it was Bugs Bunny, because they showed me a picture of him and his teeth were way out in front.
So I had them talk like that, but they couldn't understand what the hell I was saying. So I just took the teeth effect away and made him a regular rabbit.
And I think they even made 2 pictures with the long teeth in front. And after that, they went onto my voice. I told them it was not understandable, and they understood what I meant.
Did you create his What's Up, Doc and all that, though?
Yeah.
Written in already? You thought
this
is something he would say?
This is the funny thing. You know what they were going to call him? They were going to call him the Happy Hare. And they were going to have him say, hey, what's cooking? So I went to Mr. Schlesinger, who had the cartoon studio at the time, and I said, why don't you name him after the man who drew the first picture of him? His name was Bugs Hardaway. I said, why don't you call him Bugs Bunny? He said, hey, that's a good idea. So that's how he got his name. And I said, instead of that corny expression, hey, what's cooking? Why don't you use a modern expression, which was modern then, as, hey, yeah, what's up, Doc? So that's how Bugs got his name and his expression. And then Fluffer and Fluckatash was another one. And
Oh, I thought I saw a putty cat.
it's another.
What about the Tasmanian devil?
Oh, this is a very funny incident. Schlesinger called me in and he said, got a Tasmanian devil here. Can you create a voice for that? I said, what does he sound like? He says, I don't know. I said, did anybody ever hear one? He says, not that I know of. So I had to create a voice for the Tasmanian devil. I gave him this one. Oh, boy. So I defy anybody to say that a Tasmanian devil doesn't sound like that.
What would you want to be when you grow up?
I've had that question asked me before. And I answer him, what else could I be? I've sort of gotten as far as I can go, and I don't know what the hell else I do. Unless I can't draw. I can't draw worth a darn.
How did you get into the voices?
Just by doing radio. Did radio shows. Started radio in 1927. Just getting out of high school. And I did a program in Portland, Oregon called the Hoot Owls, which was a charitable show for people who needed food and clothing. And I did this show and I sang a beautiful song called Juanita. It's not that beautiful, Juanita, you're thinking. This is wanna eat, Juanita. They say that nanny goats eat tomato cans and such. My girl eats a lot of things that nanny goats won't touch. So that was so they put me on made me a member of the degree team of the Hoot Owls. I was a grand snicker.
But
Must have some questions.
But before that, he was the youngest orchestra conductor, probably in the
Yeah, I was
country
in
at that
music for a good many years before I even went into radio. Then I became the musical director of the Orpheum Vaudeville Theater in Portland, Oregon, which had acts like Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy and the Weaver Brothers and so on, big acts. And I was only 22 years old and I conducted the youngest director they ever had.
Most people here probably don't know that you were Jack Benny's car.
Oh, that's right. You know, that came about by accident. The sound effects man had a phonograph record with the sound of a motor on it. And to make it slow down and stop, they'd hold their finger on the record, make it slow down and stop. So one day it came to that cue, and I saw that the sound effects man didn't have the plug put in the socket to play the record. And I jumped up to the microphone and I made like a Maxwell. Well, Jack fell down. He says, "You are now my Maxwell." So that's how it accidentally came about. But I think one of the funniest things that the directors always tried to throw me. You know, the writers, they'd always try to put something into the script that I couldn't do. They'd always try to throw me. So one day they wrote into the script, Mel Blanc does the sound of a goldfish. And they thought, sure, they had me stumped. This was on radio. So I didn't say anything. I waited till the cue for the goldfish, and I went up to the microphone and I made like a goldfish, like this.
The English horse.
Oh, yeah, and then later on, they thought sure they had me. We were visiting Epsom Downs, you know, in England, the racehorse track. And I think it was Milt Josephsberg, one of the writers, he wrote into the script, Mel Blanc does an English horse whinny. Underlines English. Well, can you tell the nationality of a horse? But I never say no, and it came time to do the English horse whinny, and I did it like this. Oh. Well, Jack got such a kick out of that, he had me do it at various other spots. I think one of the funniest spots I ever did on the Benny Show was the Seaside routine. The little Mexican guy comes in with a sombrero and a serape over his shoulder and a big bass violin. And Jack says, "You came all the way from Tijuana just to play in my orchestra?"
Si,
And I see you brought your bass violin with you.
si,
He says, "What's your name?"
sai,
Cy?
si,
And I see you brought a young lady with you. Is that your sister?
si,
Well, what's her name?
su,
Sue?
si,
And what does she do for a living?
so,
So, see, that's all there was to the whole routine. But Jack got such a kick out of it.
Most of it ad lib?
Yeah, no, it was written, but Jack would always break up at every rehearsal and then say, "I'm not going to break up on the show." Come the show, he'd break up every time. He got such a kick out of it.
What was working with Gracie Allen like?
Oh, she was wonderful. She was a wonderful woman. She was brilliant too. The things that she asked George. Incidentally, his real name is Nathan. She would ask him a question, and then it would always turn out that she was the funny one on the thing, and he would just be kind of a straight man. But George has changed now. He's a real comedian.
Thanks to her.
Yeah, sure.
Mel, in all your years of show business, who do you think was the best comedian you've ever met or worked with?
Jack Benny, by far. He was the most natural guy, and Jack wasn't only my boss; he was one of my best friends. And I never signed a contract with Jack, but I'd be with him every year. And when the season was over, why, Jack would say to me, "Gonna be with me next year, Mel?" I say, "Okay, if you give me a raise and buy me a drink." He'd say, "Come on, I'll buy you a drink." But he was the biggest hearted guy in the world. He always gave me a raise every year, and he was a wonderful, wonderful man in all charities and everything, helping everybody.
I understand there was a voice you came up with once that they couldn't match to a figure of the body. Or maybe it was the other way around.
General Montcalm, I think it was. That was the voice
Oh,
that you found in Canada.
thank you. Well, I got a voice. They didn't draw a cartoon of it, but I wanted them to draw a cartoon of it. This was in Quebec. We went from Los Angeles, took a cross-country tour to Quebec, Canada, and we got in one of these little horse-drawn buggies, my wife and son and I. We got into this thing, and the guy that drove the horse and wagon, or horse and buggy, was a French Irishman, and they hate the English up there. So we'd get into this thing, and he only had one eye, and he looked like this and talked like this. This is what I tell you. This was Montcalm. He was Frenchman, very nice, He's up here with the English, that's no good. And over here, that's altogether different voice with a French accent on it also. But I never got him to do one of these characters, or write one of the stories. Incidentally, getting back to what you said, do I write these stories? No, I don't. But they have a marvelous cast of writers who wrote these stories. But many times they will write something that I don't think the characters should say. And after 50 years, well, I know exactly what they should say, what they shouldn't say. So I will ad-lib something. And 99 times out of 100, the director will say, "I like his ad-lib better than the script, so we put that in." So I ad-lib quite a bit of stuff in.
Mel, I know that you've probably been an influence on various other younger people who have possibly gone into doing vocal effects for the commercial radio and television industry. Is there anyone who influenced you when you started out doing those little characterizations and the like?
No, I used to do many different dialects. And I would entertain the kids at assemblies at school, at a grammar school. And the kids would laugh, and the teachers would laugh, and then give me lousy marks. Normal thing.
The voice industry didn't really exist
no.
at that time. because they were almost every voice was almost like the Mickey Mouse voice, that high little thing. Yeah. I know when he was trying to break into Warner Brothers in '36, they said we had all the voices we need, and the voices were all that real light, that high-pitched thing. So there really wasn't a voice industry before that.
So he was pretty much the pioneer of the...
Well, I'd say Edgar Bergen had two characters at that time too, right? Mortimer Snerd and Charlie McCarthy, which were probably...
But he had more dummies than me. I had more voices, but he had more dummies.
Is there anything you do to protect your voice, Mel, all the characterizations you do?
Well, I rehearse just before I go on.
You mean copyright?
No.
Protect my throat, he means.
Yeah, singers that sing falsetto have to protect themselves.
No, I rehearse every day before I go on. People say, how do you rehearse? I say, me. That's it.
Just as long as you know it's there, more or less.
Yeah.
He's only had laryngitis once since I can remember, and that's a long time, in 40 years. Just one time. That was it. And he rarely has any problem.
Did you ever work for Walt Disney?
I worked his radio show in 1937, then I worked one show with him. Was called Pinocchio. I did Giddy the cat in Pinocchio. And this was a hiccuping voice. It was only $50 a day. And they took all of the hiccuping out except one hiccup. For that one hiccup, I got $800. So that's an expensive hiccup. That's when I worked with Walt.
That was all you ever did?
Yeah.
I understand, at least from the trade, that he was a difficult man to work for or with.
I never had any trouble with him, but I understand a lot of people did.
Didn't you? Excuse me. Didn't you also do vocal effects for some of the latter-day Tom and Jerry cartoons also?
And Chuck Jones.
Chuck Jones. He took it over, but he only used the voice in one cartoon. I did the voice on Tom and Jerry, but it just sort of died out.
Mel, you may have answered this already, but is there a particular voice that you find difficult to do?
Yeah, Yosemite Sam is perhaps the toughest. I think Noel will agree with me, too.
Oh, yeah. But Bugs is tough on the throat for him. I mean, it's not an easy voice.
Yeah, but I don't have any trouble doing it, Doc.
The higher pitched voice is more difficult than the lower pitched?
No, I can do low voices, too, but sometimes they're pretty tough. Like a new film I'm doing for Heathcliff, the cat that you see in the cartoons. It's always robbing from the fish market and the garbage cans.
And I give him a kind of voice like this here. It's a kind of a tough cat that steals from the garbage can from the fish market. And I also do that character that's chasing him, that bulldog.
That dog's down here. I'll get that cat and I'll break his neck. And I'm also doing the guy who owns the fish market.
Who's the Dutchman? He says, I catch that cat and I break his neck too. That's what I do with him.
So there's one in dialect and the others are more or less crazy voices. But we did a whole series on that.
Yeah, they're on every Saturday. I think he's on Against Himself on 3 networks.
I'm on all 3 networks at one time.
We got the Tweety and Sylvester show and then the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show and Heathcliff, all opposite each other.
Did you purposely pattern Foghorn Leghorn after the radio? I can't remember.
So no, I tell you how I got mine. I got mine years ago when I was just a kid from a hard-of-hearing sheriff. This is in Portland, Oregon, a vaudeville show. I says, I beg your pardon. What'd you say, boy? Don't repeat. I'm not hard to hear. And that's what'd you say, son? And I thought, Jesus, make a good Southern rooster. So I said, pay attention, boy. That's why I gave him that Foghorn Leghorn boys. And I don't know which one of us heard it first, but this is the way the voice I took for him.
Yours is better.
Oh, gee, thanks.
You see a lot of half-hour special cartoon shows anymore. Are the 6.5-minute ones still being made?
No.
As much as they
No, but they're planning on maybe making some more because they've had so many requests to show them in theaters again.
They made one 2 years ago with the Martian and Bugs because Steven Spielberg wanted it to go with Close Encounters, and he ran it with Close Encounters at most of the theaters at that time. Was that Spielberg? Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me, when you were in elementary school, did you get in trouble for making other voices, or did you get in trouble with your mother? Did she say, don't talk like that?
No. No, they will always encourage me.
Do they?
I use mostly dialects in various things, and as I say, I entertain the kids at assemblies, and now the kids laugh and the teachers laugh, and then they got lousy marks for them.
You get sent to the principal's office for misbehavior.
Well, the only time I got sent to the principal's office when I was, I did a voice that was a laugh, and we had a big hallway at Lincoln High in Portland, Oregon, and you'd say hello, and it would answer hello, 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 it would answer 4 or 5 times. So I thought, I'm going to do this laugh and see if it does the same thing. So I did the laugh, and the laugh was this. And I ran down the end of the hall, bumped right into the principal. He said, what are you running and laughing like crazy for? I said, well, I just wanted to hear my echo. He says, well, don't let it happen again or I'll throw you out of school. But that later turned out to be the voice for Woody, who incidentally was created by Bugs Hardaway, who created Bugs Bunny.
And then Walter Lance's wife has done it for the last 30 years?
Yeah. Well, I was contracted to Warner's and told Walter that I couldn't work for him anymore. You'd have to get somebody to take Woody's place. So he tried a lot of people. He finally found one gal that came very close to it. So I say this as a joke, but I think it's true. He didn't want to lose her, so he married her. It's Mrs. Walter Lance. Grace Stafford. They're both charming.
I noticed in this one picture it has a little sign that says Mel Blanc says, but then you can't read it. What does that say on your desk?
What is it? Where?
You want to know something? I never did find that plaque. I never knew what it actually said. Speak as long as you like, up to 1 minute.
Is that what it
I
says?
think that's what it says, similar to that. Must have some more questions.
Are there any more questions? Okay.
Just let them see the show.
Yeah, well, we'd like to now show you the product and the robotics or animation. So, again, Mel, thank you very much, and thank you, the press, for coming out. And we're now going to see a little show.
Is a gentleman's choice.
Oh, brother. And guess which gentleman's turn it is to choose?
But if you please, that lady's choice, gentleman's choice routine went out with the 50s.
Hey, you want to tell him that, Tosh?
Pardon, sir. What key are you in? Merci. Thank you. Devil with the blue dress, blue, I say devil with the blue dress on. Devil with the blue dress on. Fly, full fun. Looking mighty nasty. Here she comes.
Wearing a wig, the hat, and the shades to match. Got high heels, sneakers, and an alligator hat.
I say she's not too skinny and not too fat.
She's a real humdinger, and I like it like that. Devil with the blue dress, devil with the blue dress on. Devil with the blue dress, devil with the blue dress on.
That boy ought to be locked up for our own good. And I know just where to put him. I went to a party in the county jail. The prison band was there and they began to wail.
The band was jumping and the drum began to swing.
You should have heard those knocked out jailbirds sing, "Let's rock." Everybody, let's rock. Everybody in the wholesale park was dancing to the jailhouse rock.
Stop it. This is a family show, so pull the plug on the delinquent bit. Instead, let us segue into some good, clean fun. You mean they go down to the swim club? Swim club? Why, you panty waste. Let's hit the beach. Surf's up. Last one in, right out of you. What a maroon. You, a surfer? What do you know? In Malibu surfing circles, they call me Loon Ducky. Oh, where's Sandra D when you need her? How about a net? I don't need a net. I'll knock her off her feet when I hang 10.
Ooh, that's the last cheap Funicello joke I'm gonna stand for.
Cool it, Hodad. If everybody had an ocean across the USA, then everybody'd be surfing like California. Well, they'd be wearing their baggies, Arachi sandals, a bushy blonde hair. surfing USA. Yeah, my turn. Oh, there's like out of here. Yeah, that's it.
That's easy for you to say, Porky, but some of us cats aren't too keen on the water. You know, I Boy, Speedy sure kicks up a ruckus.
Well, she caught her daddy's car and she's cruising through the hamburger stand now. She forgot all about the library like she told her old man now.
She's got the radio blasting and she's going just as fast as she can now.
And she'll have fun till her daddy takes her jeeping away.
Hey, speaking of going away, that's all for us and Sha-Na-Nonsense.
But stick around for the next show, or else.
Radio and FM 101 over in Youngstown. And in just a very few minutes, Mel Blanc will be down here. Mel Blanc, the voice of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and, God, a bunch of other people. I was supposed to read over this bio of Mel Blanc here and tell you some stuff about him and how he got started and all this kind of stuff. But if I tell you all of what's in here, because when Mel comes down here, you're going to get an opportunity to ask him questions, all right? So what I want you to do is, I want you to think up some good questions to ask Mel. For instance, you might ask him, I know because I've got the sheet right here, how is it that Bugs Bunny came up with the phrase, what's up, Doc? Or something like that. He said, I know because I've got it right here, but that's a question that you might want to ask him. As well as when he gets down here, ask him to do your favorite cartoon character voice or something like that. That's what he'll be down here for. Do you have a favorite character? Bugs? Bugs is yours. You ask him to do Bugs when he comes down, okay? Anybody into Daffy Duck? What about you? Okay. Okay, he'll be down here in just a couple of seconds. When this is over with, by all means, go upstairs and check out Gadgets in case you haven't done so already. It is really a nice place. They got good food, they got good shows, they got the game room in the back. It is just a great thing. I had some t-shirts and some mugs that I was going to give away here, but Mel is going to be coming down the steps probably in about 30 seconds or so I don't know if I'll really get a chance. I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep my eye, as Mel is doing his show, I'm going to keep my eye on everybody, and the first one of you guys to ask him a question, who gets the guts to raise your hand and ask him for a question, I'm going to keep you in mind, and I'm going to give you a t-shirt or a mug when this is all over with. Okay, I got 4 t-shirts and 4 mugs. Is that right, Tim? 4 t-shirts and 4 mugs. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on you, and who knows, it might be you that gets a t-shirt. Would you like to have a t-shirt? Okay? Okay. Mel should be downstairs in just a couple of seconds. There's Jeff Long. Jeff, how are you? Right? Do you want to quote me or anything? Okay, I don't know, he's not here. Maybe we got, maybe I got an opportunity to give one away now, before he comes down. Could you hand me a t-shirt, Tim? Give me a small. I think I'm going to pick out a small person here and give one of these to. An official WHOT t-shirt. The only place you can get these is right here. They're no longer in print, so to speak. Okay, we got a small. Now, who should...
For my second number this afternoon. And then I wrote,
Oh, I thought Putty Tat. I did to you, Putty Tat.
you bloody saw, Putty Tat, suffering succotash.
Did I get you wet? Sorry. Oh, and not too many people know I do the voice for Barney Rubble on the Flintstones.
Yeah, I'm the voice for Barney Rubble. That's me too, yeah.
And a few hundred, about the heck with it.
I just did that to let you know who the hell I am. Nice to see you. You're a wonderful crowd. And we got little autographs for all of you little kids. So,
Got the big kids.
have we passed them out? Yeah, the big kids too. Get down on your knees and all. Okay, it's nice to see all of you. Now, what happened to my son? No? You got the autographs? Do it later? Okay. Well, be sure you see the shows at the Gadgets upstairs. We've got things that you won't believe when you do see it. It's a fabulous place, and I know you're going to love it. Have lunch there, or dinner, or come on in anytime. Love to have you up there. Thanks, and that's all, folks. We'll see you. Oh, I might tell you how I created some of these voices. First, they show me a picture of the character that's going to be in the cartoon. And then they show me the lead of what this character is going to do in the cartoon. And from that, I have to create a voice. Now, Bugs, they said, was a tough little stinker. And I had to give him a tough voice. So I wondered, which is the toughest voice in this country? Either Brooklyn or the Bronx?
So I put the two of them together, Doc. That's how I got the voice for Bugs Bunny.
And Porky, they said, was a timid little character, and they showed me what he was going to do in the cartoon. So I wanted to be real authentic about it. So I went out to a pig farm, and I wallowed around with the pigs for a couple of weeks. And I come back, and they threw me out and said, go home and take a bath. Which I did. When I come back, I said, if a pig could talk, he'd talk with a grunt, you know.
Oi, 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 oi. That's the way Porky got his voice, with a grunt.
Then they showed me a little... Thank you. Showed me a little character, and they said his name is Yosemite Sam. He's only 2 feet tall. He's got a big red mustache. He's a cowboy. And we have to give him a voice that would make him noticeable on the screen. So I thought, what can I do with this? Only 2 feet tall. So I made him noticeable on the screen. I gave him this voice.
My name's Yosemite Sam. I'm the roughest, toughest cowboy that ever shot a gumdrop.
Yes. Wile E. Coyote very seldom speaks. When he does speak, he speaks like an actor. He says, I shall catch the little roadrunner. And when I do, I'm going to swallow him whole. Yes.
The rabbit, Doc. That's my favorite voice.
The Pink Panther, you're in the wrong studio. I'm sorry, son. Tweaky, that was on Buck Rogers, the 25th Century. I did that. They asked me to do a voice for this little dummy, I call him, this little robot. So I gave him this one.
Buck, you're my kind of guy.
Oh, who's going to take over for me? My little boy. Where is he? No. He can do every voice that I do. We must have the same genes or something, because he can do all of these voices. Oh yeah, the Tweety was a little baby bird. I had to give him a baby voice. And Sylvester was a big sloppy cat. I had to give him a sloppy voice.
Oh, I thought a Putty Tat. I did see a Putty Tat.
You bloody flop, Putty Tat.
Fluffer and flickertash. Well, let's see, who did I leave out here? Oh, Pepe Le Pew, the little French skunk. He chased the pussycat and catch her and kiss her. Oh, there's one here. That's a favorite in a lot of the colleges. I speak at many colleges. Just finished my 144th college. And a lot of them like Foghorn Leghorn, the big rooster. And he says, the little chicken hawk comes up and says to him, "Hey, I'm looking for chickens. Where can I find myself a chicken?" I say, pay attention, boy. You say you're looking for chickens? Well, you see that little house over there says D-O-G? That spells chicken. Go get 'em, boy. Well, there's one they almost stumped me on. They called me in and said, "We have a Tasmanian devil." I said, "What does he sound like?" I said, "We don't know." I said, "Did anybody ever hear one?" This is not that we know of. So I had to create a voice for the Tasmanian devil. I gave him this one. Oh, boy. Yeah. The Roadrunner, yeah, that used to be done with a klaxon, with a horn, an automobile horn. And when they wanted to make more of the pictures, they couldn't find the horn, so they asked me if I could do it. I said, sure. I said, what would it sound like? I said, meep, 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 meep. So that's how I do the Roadrunner now. Yeah. Oh, Speedy Gonzales. Yeah, that's a little Mexican mouse, the fastest mouse in all Mexico.
Sí, she's waving the kid, give it to the mouse, I think to every face too. Epa, epa, hija, hija, ándale, ándale.
Yes. Pete Puma. I think that was done by another man, the guy that says,
I wasn't doing nothing, just sitting around here doing nothing, and they came to me and asked me to do something for them.
That's the voice. Yes.
How long have you been doing it?
Almost 50 years. I've been doing it almost 50 years. Actually, Bugs was born in 1938, and Porky was born in 1937. Long time. Yes. Pardon? Oh, Elmer Fudd is perhaps the only voice that I didn't create. That was created by Arthur Q. Bryan, and he died about 30 years ago. And they asked me to do it. I said, no, I don't like to copy anybody. I like to create voices. So they said, well, there's only just a couple of lines. Won't you try it?
Oh, I'll try, but I don't know if I can do it or not.
So I've been doing it ever since. Yeah.
Daffy Duck, certainly I do Daffy Duck.
He hates Bugs Bunny. He says that rabbit is despicable. Yeah. What did I do before I started this? I was in radio and music. I was in music. I was in Portland, Oregon. I was born in San Francisco and raised in Portland, Oregon. And I was in music all that time. Became a musical director when I was only 22 years old of the Orpheum Vaudeville Theater up there. I directed such acts as Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy and so on. And I was just a kid at the time, but still a kid, you know. What made me start? Well, I used to do different dialects and voices when I was going to grammar school. And I used to entertain the kids at assembly, and the kids would laugh, and then the teachers would laugh, and then give me lousy marks, you know. Yeah, what, sweetheart? How many years did it take me to figure out all these voices? Well, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, almost 50 years, dear. I speak at the different colleges, and the kids will say to me, gee, I grew up with you. I have a stock phrase I use. I just, yeah, so did your old man. Thank you. I had a very bad accident 21 years ago. I was almost killed. In fact, I was so far gone, they had me in the obituary column over in Honolulu. This happened right in Los Angeles. And
I was unconscious for 21 days, and almost every bone in my body was broken. And I finally came out of it and was in a full body cast for a year. During that time, my son Noel fixed up a beautiful studio in our home, and we recorded 8 months of the Flintstones right in my bedroom. Me in a full body cast. Have any of you seen the Jetsons? I'm Spacely, the boss on the Jetsons.
Jetson, you're fired.
And let's see. Oh, I think I've covered almost all of the main characters. Oh, somebody asked me, they said, how about that little Martian that you did in one of the Warner Brother cartoons? And I said,
You mean the fellow that said you make me very angry? Yeah, that's him, the Martian.
they come up with crazy things that they ask me at the colleges. And somebody said to me, what's the first voice you ever did? I thought to myself, the first voice I ever did. I don't remember doing it, but that was the first voice. Almost made him stop drinking his milk. Yes?
What about the character that you used to do with Jack Benny?
Oh, the character I did with Jack Benny. Oh, the Seaside routine. I come in with a serape and a sombrero on my head and a big bass violin. And Mr. Benny would say, you came all the way from Tijuana just to play in my orchestra? Si. And I see you brought your bass violin with you. Si. Well, what's your name? Si. Si? Si. And I see you brought a young lady with you. Is that your sister? Si. Well, what's her name? Sue. Sue? Si. Well, what does she do for a living? So. So? See, that's all there was to the whole routine, but Jack loved it. Yes? Scooby-Doo? Oh, I think you're in the wrong studio, honey. Oh, Speed Buggy. Speed Buggy was taken from Jack Benny's Maxwell. Only it's a talking automobile. And it's in a cartoon series now. And I kind of gave it the same voice as Jack Benny's Maxwell. Only I had him talk. Well, yes. Oh, Donald Duck. Boy, you're really in the wrong studio today. That's Mr. Disney's character. And it's done by Clarence Nash, who does that voice. Yes.
Sylvester's son.
Oh, Sylvester's son, that's little Sylvester Jr. He doesn't spray like his father, but he has a little lisp in his voice. Says,
Oh, Father, you make me so angry. You said that you could catch that little mouth, but you didn't. So what if he is big? They call him a kangaroo, but he's a big mouth, Father. I'm so ashamed.
Yes. How many Bugs Bunny cartoons did I do? I don't know exactly how many Bugs Bunny, but we used to make 52 cartoons a year. And that's since 1937. And I have worked in many other studios. And compiling all the different cartoons that I've done, I passed the 5,000 mark. Made over 5,000 cartoons. So, yes. Pardon? What do they do when I get laryngitis? I have to wait till I get over it. Many times I can talk over it, you know, but they'll wait. They're patient. And I might tell you that the voice is always done first. Most people think that the voice is done after the picture is made. This is wrong. The voice is done first, and they draw to the voice. Now, for example, you see a picture of Bugs Bunny saying, "Yeah, what's up, Doc?" The animator has a board in front of him with a picture of, just a blank picture of Bugs on it, And then he has a mirror that he can look into. And then he has the tape or the record that'll play the voice. The voice will say, what's up, Doc? The animator looks into the mirror and says, draws his mouth on the character. What's up, Doc? That's why everything is so synchronized and fixed so beautifully that you think the actual animal is talking. Many kids still think it's animals that talk. They can't believe that it's me doing the voice for them. Yes?
You mean the one that says, which way did they go, George? That big dog? Oh, yeah, I know him, too.
Yes. Yes, I'm making up various voices, like there's a new one called Heathcliff. You know the picture you see in the cartoons? And they want to make a series on him. And he's a tough cat that's always robbing from the fish market or from the garbage cans.
So I give him the voice that was a real cat that talked like that there.
And there's also a big dog named Spike. I do the voice for him too. Says, I'll get that dog and I'll break his neck. That cat, whatever he is, and I'll break his neck. And the guy who owns the fish market,
He's the fellow that talks with a Dutch dialect. You know, he speaks like that. He says, I break his neck too if I catch a hold of him.
So with each different dialect, you can do many different voices. Any more questions?
They just brought out Garfield, you know, and then they had the cartoon where he was talking. I thought they had a really strong voice for Garfield. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't heard that voice, but that's another cat. I think it's more or less a copy of Heathcliff, truthfully. Yeah. It's a shame because the voice is very important in these things. And I love my work and I love to create these various voices. Yes? The old lady? That's done by June Foray. It used to be done by B. Benaderet, who passed away some years ago. She was on that Petticoat Junction, you know. And it's now done by June Foray.
Hey, Mel.
Huh?
Dino the dinosaur.
Oh, Dino? Oh, yeah, I do the voice of Dino, too. That's Fred Flintstone's little dinosaur. All he ever says is... That's all. Well, thanks for all your questions, and hope you enjoy.